Hey, 6th grade, it's Mr. Mayfield, and I'm here at the mcwane Center reading you your weekly Ryder and Mr. Self story. It was twin day at Columbiana Middle. Naturally, Ryder and Mr. Self twinned it up. Unfortunately, none of the other teachers could see it. Ryder, where's your twin? Oh, it's Mr. Self. We're ego and alter ego, not in the traditional sense of Sigmund Freud, but rather in the sense of ego waffles, just not the kind that have been recalled lately. Ryder, we've talked about this before. Mr. Self isn't real. Teacher, Ryder, I have a name. Teacher, I know that Mr. Self isn't in your heart like he's in mine, and so you can't see him the way that I see him, but he's very real. Okay, Ryder, let me try this again. Point to the other 6th grader dressed as a waffle. I don't remember there being a rule about 6th graders only dressing like other 6th graders. You know, delayed twinning is a paradox science has only recently figured out. Ryder, this is a very serious offense coming to school as a waffle. When we're trying to encourage healthy eating at our school, it's a Class 3 violation, so you need to get yourself to the in-school trailer now. Ryder and Mr. Self made their way to the trailer, drooping and sagging, sadder than a waffle dripped in syrup that one was about to eat until one had to run away because one saw a creepy clown at the window. Upon returning, it was that saggy a waffle. The whole day would have been lost had not just when Ryder and Mr. Self reached the trailer, a small car pulled up to the door of the school. Ryder stopped at the trailer door, for he had seen such a small car, and from it the largest of bodies emerge. It was a clown, and there were more. Ryder and Mr. Self immediately ran towards the front of the school to intercept the clowns. It was good that they did, for at that moment, one of the many teachers who took her planning time to stand outside and smoke was walking out in front. The lead clown squirted water from his flower, and the teacher would have been soaked had it not been for Ryder and Mr. Self's speed and jumping skills. No! Ryder and Mr. Self yelled as they threw themselves in the water's path. The clown's evil plan to fritz water on unsuspecting victims was spoiled, but there were plenty of clowns behind him, and so many more by the minute coming out from the tiny little car. Their nose! Mr. Self yelled to Ryder. It's their weakness. Pinch their noses. It was hard for Ryder to maneuver well in his waffle costume, but he was very effective in getting to the noses. Ah! My nose, my weakness! One yelled. Rats, foiled by a waffle, said another. Curse you, Mr. Self, and your apprentice Ryder, said a third. Come on, clowns, let's get out of here and find senior citizens we can terrorize, said one of the leaders, because everyone else got back in the car and they drove away. Of course, they didn't end up going to the senior center because everyone knows clowns love to terrorize middle school girls and teachers who smoke. Ryder and Mr. Self had saved the day. The teachers offered to carry him on their shoulders, but Ryder and Mr. Self didn't feel safe with that, so instead he and Mr. Self led a parade through the hallways. The cafeteria decided to add a waffle iron so the students could celebrate Ryder and Mr. Self every day. Everything seemed great until 5th period when someone came to get Ryder. Quick, the very evil Ava is trapping voices in a box. It was true. Ava, very evil, had her evil German scientists design a catch box. It was Ava's intent to use the box to collect voices, not so much in order to take over the world, so much as she was just evil and rolled that way. Ava would trick the small-minded by telling them she was practicing her grammar and needed them to speak in the box. The small-minded, being small-minded, were easily lured in by Ava's evil plan. Of course, there was one girl who traded her voice in order to become a lady instead of a mermaid in order to land a man, but that's another story. Sadly, there was nothing Ryder could have done in that situation because he had very strict rules about encouraging kissing on boat rides, no matter how romantic they are. Ryder and Mr. Self followed their highly trained ears to the projected voice of Ava coming out of her magic box. Mwahaha, she laughed. You poor, unfortunate souls. Hey, Ava, who's very evil. Catch! Yelled Ryder. as he and Mr. Self threw an umbrella at her. Ava caught the umbrella, but she dropped the catch box. The catch box began to tick loudly. Catch box cannot compute. Catch box meant to catch, not drop. Failing, failing. Danger, danger, Ryder and Mr. Self, danger. The catch box began to smoke, and fiery sparks began to jet out. After another few unravelings, the box exploded. Of course, Ava wasn't punished for the evil she had caused because teachers are selective in who they punish. The students who lost their voices had them returned. Well, there were a few mix-ups, which explains why Victoria has a deep, husky voice and why Kaysen's voice is so high. Yeah, no one could figure out how to undo that, but everything else was fixed, for now.